All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Seeds of Change podcast. I am Mark Turnipseed, your host, and I'm so happy to be here. It's, first of all, Monday morning. Second of all, it is hot. I am hot. I'm wearing no pants this morning because I am just on fire about a few things. On just absolute fire. As you know, my last week's episode, I talked about productivity. I talked about using my weaknesses. I grew up with a little bit of ADHD. I was on Adderall. It's not a unique story at all. I was on Adderall. I was on other stuff to help me focus and to help me streamline my thoughts and to make myself more organized. Now, I thought that I needed medications my entire life, including as I started to use drugs and alcohol, right? I started to think that I needed this for social lubrication, and I needed my drugs in order to be productive. I needed my Adderall, right? Or, I can even look down at it. I can even look at it and break it all the way down that I need my caffeine. I need my cup of coffee in the morning. I need. Man, how many of us out there are just tired of needing so much? The thing is, we don't actually need that much, right? We don't actually need that much. And that's kind of what I talked about in the episode even before that, where the Israelites had walked around for 40 years without having food, right? Because God supplied it through the air. And my yogi also talked about not actually needing food when you're going through fasting, because if you're mindful enough and if you're connected with the elements enough, you can actually eat the air. You can actually find sustenance in the air. Now, I've never been able to do either one. I've never eaten manna, and I've also never found sustenance in the air. But the theory behind that is, and the lesson that I've learned behind those two philosophies is that I don't need as much as I think that I need, right? And I surely don't need those prescription drugs all the time, right? Maybe I just need to reassess. Maybe I just need to relook at myself. So what I decided to do over the past couple of weeks was really to look at my productivity. And I was really looking at my strengths and my weaknesses. And one of my greatest weaknesses is the fact that, I'm an Aries, right? And so I'm always like driving out. I'm always like the first thought that comes into my head, I am going to run after it. And man, I'm going to make it happen. Like I'm going to make it start happening at least. I'm really going to push hard. I'm so excited about it. I'm pushing into it, and I'm going to really exert a lot of energy. And sometimes that ends up just tuckering me way out, right? It either tuckers me way out, and as I start to get tired, as I start to become tired, then other thoughts are going to start to rise up in my head, right? As I start to feel a little bit like, what am I doing this? As I start to have those second thoughts, then I'm going to slip into something where I need a little bit more motivation, or I need a little bit reinforcement, letting me know that I'm doing right, that I'm on the right track, or something like that, right? So anyway, I end up breaking my productivity because what happens is I start going real fast into something. I come up with this idea, like a podcast. I'm going to do a podcast. The next day, I am doing everything that it takes to get a podcast done, right? And I'm working at it so hard that I'm now avoiding every other responsibility that I have. I'm now avoiding every other, project that I had going on. I'm also maybe even avoiding relationships. I'm not treating myself well. I'm not going to the gym enough, right? Because I'm busy building my podcast room. And then I'm such an unbalanced character that I will shift all the way over and I will just be building my podcast, right? I'll just be working on this. And then everything else in my life starts to slack and starts to break down. And when it does, that makes me sad. It makes me sad, and it makes me feel like I could be so much more responsible. And then I end up in a state of depression, and I start to end up with a lot of half-done projects. I end up with a lot of projects that are half done, or I just run away from them altogether, right? I don't know if you guys have this issue. If you guys have this issue of starting things and stopping things, if you guys have an issue with that, then you may have you may be able to find a solution like what I'm working on right now. So, as you know, in my last week's episode, I talked about how I have a little bit of OCD and ADHD that I'm trying to work on, and I'm trying to grow from. You know, as a child, I'm never going to heal some of these things all the way, right? But I can use them now to my advantage. And what I noticed that I could do is that if I looked at my time, right? If I looked at my time much like my budget, then I could be wealthy no matter how much time I had. I could be wealthy and I could do whatever I want no matter how much time I had. That was an experience that actually happened with my budget. It actually happened with my finances. So many years ago, I was making about $19,000 a year, and I had a baby on the way with my ex-wife, and we were so concerned. We were living in the bottom of a basement, right? Concrete floor, had a little mat for a sleeping mat. It was a queen size sleeping mat, and we laid on this little queen size sleeping mat, just coming up with ideas about how we could get out of this basement and how we could get ahead. And I read something that if you do a budget and you budget down to the exact penny, so you zero out your budget every month, that you experience something that they call financial peace. Now, this is something that a very wise man says and talks about. It's his program is actually called Financial Peace University. Now, it's not really a unique concept, this financial peace, and it's not only Dave Ramsey who talks about having financial peace and gaining it in this way, but it's the program that my father enlightened me about. So I looked into this Financial Peace University. I took this course, and literally, guys, I mean, I was overdrafting my bank account every single month. I was just at an absolute loss. I would get some money, and then I wouldn't know what to do with it, right? I wouldn't know how to place it in certain places. So here's what a budget did for me. A budget, what it did, even though I had a very little amount of money, it showed me exactly where I needed to place it and exactly what I had to spend after. And although I thought that if I did this, I was going to be very depressed at the number that I would have to spend for the rest of the month based on my small, measly account balance and based on my small, measly salary, or not really salary, but income of $19,000 a year, that I was going to be really sad when I saw that I had no spending money. So that was one of the reasons, I guess, it was a fear that I really just didn't want to go into budgeting. Now, once I did the budget, okay, it took a couple of weeks, really. I took a course and did the budget, and I did it all the way to the T. And the only reason why I got that done, y'all, is because I had an ex-wife who did not have the ADHD, right? So she helped me do the class all the way through to the very end, and to do the budget and everything. And what ended up happening is I ended up with money that I could spend, but I also ended up with something even more, even better, even more priceless than money could ever be, and that was peace. Peace. Peace isn't something very easy to come by in this world, is it? And it's not just this day and age. I hate when people say that this is just this day and age is just the worst. No, it's not. No, it's not. This is actually the best day and age. And I absolutely love this day and age. But a lot of people don't see that. Now, this day and age for me is a very important day and age, because in this day and age, I have so many tools that I can use for my productivity. I have so many resources. I have so many ways that I can contact people and learn about the ways that I might be able to increase my productivity. So this day and age to me is an actually rather exciting day and age, and I hope that is for you. So using that excuse that it's just this day and age is not enough for me. Now, my productivity was slacking, and I was starting to get concerned, much like I was getting concerned with my finances. I felt like I was broke. I felt like over the past couple of months that I was literally broke with time. I was broke with time. I'm trying to do a podcast. I'm trying to write a new book. I'm trying to build a Halo 42 skincare line. I'm trying to work out and maintain my physical aptitude that I developed throughout training for these Ironman races. I'm trying to develop a better relationship with my children and be a better father. I'm trying to develop and reach out to more people in my personal life. I'm trying to reach out to my family. I'm trying to get to know siblings a little bit more than I have ever known before. And that only requires me in my personal life just to call them a couple of times a month, right? Because I haven't lived that life. I admire people who do. But see, for me, I feel like I just don't have the time. And then I start stressing out. I start freaking out that I don't have the time. Now, that same thing was happening to me with my finances. That same exact thing was happening to me with my finances. Now, with my finances, after I took that course, I realized that I had peace. I had peace. In this day and age, if anything gives me peace, this day and age, there I go. I said it again. This day, in this life, anything that gives me peace, man, that is something that something that deserves a lot of attention. If it gives you peace, if it makes you feel good, it deserves some attention. So let's look at it. Let's look at it a little bit. If I have financial peace when I'm absolutely broke, how can I have time peace when I'm absolutely burdened and overworked and I have too much on my platter? Well, I've got some good news for everybody. I got some good news. It has worked, and it has worked tremendously over the past week. Now, I can't tell you the long-term effects of it, but I can tell you that the short-term effects of developing out a system in which my time is allotted, called a block calendar, if I set my day up like this, then I'm much more highly peaceful. Now, am I more highly effective during these times? That is going to play out over the next few months as I continue to execute this beautiful block schedule. And by the way, a block schedule can be absolutely beautiful. I am not joking. I texted it over to my girlfriend, and she actually said that this turned her on. Because it's such a beautiful thing when you can organize your life. And how much men and women out there know this to be true? If your house is not in order, then you're not attractive, right? If somebody comes over to my house and I just have complete disarray and no organization, I am so unlikely to get that second date. I might even be unlikely to get that first kiss. And if that's the case, I don't want my house looking like that, right? If that's the case, I don't want my house looking like that at all. So if that's the same as it pertains to my life in other relationships, outside of romantic life, if that's the same as it pertains to my life as a CEO, if that's the same as it pertains to my life and relationship as an author, if that pertains to the same as everything else in my life, then I need to get it organized so that I can attract and so that I can be productive in the relationship that I'm in. Now, if you don't see your work as a relationship, if you don't see your projects as a relationship, then the shift of perspective is going to help with this. So start to see, these things that you do as a relationship. It's energy, right? It's a fun little activity that you get to do with other people. It's work, right? It might be working out. But here's the thing, is that we can take that little shift of perspective and begin to see it as a relationship. And then we can start to apply the same things that work for us in relationships. We can start to apply those as it pertains to tasks and events and projects that need to get done, right? So little things inside of relationships. What do we like inside of a relationship? What do we like inside of a relationship? Well, we definitely like motivation. We like somebody who's encouraging. We love to have some sort of organization in that relationship, right? It is absolutely miserable to have a relationship with no organization. And in fact, it might even become impossible, especially as an adult. It might even become impossible because you have schedules, right? You have schedules and you need to organize how you communicate. Otherwise, you may be throwing out some sort of, dramatic instance of your life at the very wrong time and cause an argument that doesn't need to be an argument, that could be settled if you had it organized, if you had your thoughts organized and you expressed them appropriately. Otherwise, you might just scare people away. Right? So this organization thing really can come all the way back, and it comes all the way back to the internal dialogue that I have, the internal relationship that I have with myself. Now, what ends up happening when I developed a financial budget is that my relationship with my finances became free and peaceful, meaning that I knew how and when I was going to communicate and use my money, much like a relationship. If I know how and when to communicate with my lover, then I'm going to be much more efficient at it, and I'm probably going to end up with a much happier relationship, right? So organize this stuff. Organize this stuff. It actually works. So organizing my money made me more peaceful. Organizing how I relate to my lover made me much more satisfied and makes her much more satisfied in our relationship. Organizing how I communicate to people at the gym makes me a much more enjoyable person to be around, right? Having an organization and an understanding of yourself is going to help so much. And so as it pertains to time, if you have a relationship like I had with time, which is confused and messed with some ADHD, with a little bit of overzealousness, and with a little bit of overexcitement in my Aries chart, and maybe like a little bit of disorganization just because I don't know, just because I'm ignorant, just because I was unwilling, just because I didn't listen to other people who suggested it. Well, actually, to tell you the truth, not too many people suggested it. Not too many people ever suggested that I do a serious calendar. Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild that so many years I have struggled with just having my tasks done because of something called ADHD. So I take this medication that then gives me a whole bunch of speed and makes me even more of an Aries, driving straight into things and just tuckering out by the end of it. Why? That's highly not effective, right? Well, what if, so that's why last week when I decided to do that podcast, I was like, I'm going to bring this out and I'm going to see how it works. And I will tell you what, it has worked tremendously. My peace over my time has been tenfold, y'all. I'm waking up in the morning, right? My schedule, if you look at it on the YouTube right now, if you look at it on YouTube right now, you are going to see my beautiful schedule all the way. It starts at 4 a.m. and it goes all the way to 10 at night. And everything is blocked out in this beautiful arrangement, beautiful colors. And right when I wake up in the morning, I know exactly what is going on. That doesn't mean, guys, that I actually have to do that right at that moment, right? That's the same thing with finances. Like, I get the budget and I realize that this money is set aside for that bill, but that doesn't mean I actually have to pay that bill right now. I can actually take care of some other priorities before I take care of that bill. Now, that's some really exciting stuff, and that's some stuff that I don't really know how to do quite yet. So I've enlisted the help of an expert, and her name is Christine. She has come into my life as an expert of organization and operational development, and she is helping me to put this block schedule and to learn how to prioritize the tasks of different projects that I have going on. Now, what this does for me is it frees me up completely because as my day goes along and I come up to a task and I start working on that task, I'm filled with a little bit of joy. I'm like, oh, yay, I get to this task now. And one thing that happens also is I'm filled with a little bit of joy and I'm not filled with a little bit of uncertainty. I'm not filled with uncertainty at all. I know that I can start doing this task, and then in the next 15 minutes, as my next task comes up, I can set this task to the side. I don't absolutely have to finish it unless it's under the super high priority. I don't absolutely have to finish it. I can move it to the side and I can get to the next item. The next item would otherwise be starting to cause me stress, inhibiting me from being able to take care of the first item. Right? Because my time was misorganized. I wasn't dedicating the right time to the right object. But now with this organization, now I can rest assured and I can devote all my attention to the task at hand rather than worrying about the next one. So in that sense, y'all, it's energy, right? It's energy. It's putting energy in the right buckets. Y'all, when we put energy in the right buckets, we do things like Henry Ford and we could create cars. We could go fast. We could go fast in life. We could create power. We can create fire. Y'all, the sky is the limit. When you begin to look at your life like a whole bucket full of relationships that you get to input the organization in so that you can better be a part of those. So that you find out where you fit in this puzzle, so that you find out what you can do in your relationship to make it better. And then you can prioritize the things out there. You can say, okay, well, maybe, our relationship is in disarray and there's this one thing that really just drives us both crazy. And that's how we go to sleep at night. Every single night, she wants to watch TV and every single night I want to fall asleep. So you put that as a priority. Right? You put that as a priority of something to work on, as a project to work on. And you say every single night at 7 o'clock before we go to bed, we are going to talk about strategies that might be able to eliminate this stress in our relationship. And you just talk 7 o'clock to 7:10, right? And then you come up with that strategy and you may not have developed it that first night, but at least you're working on it. Right? Because you've got organization. And this organization, I'm not joking. Give it a try. Give it a try for 1 week. I gave it a try for 1 week, and the effects were heightened energy, increased peace, more joy in my life, and get this, more time. More time. Same with when I budgeted. When I budgeted my money, even though I only had $19,000 for an entire year, even though I only had like $2,000 a month or something, no, even less than that, right? Even though I was making less than $2,000 a month, I was still able to have money and a baby on the way. I was still able to have money for spending because I budgeted. Now, when I did it with my time, even though I'm writing a book, doing a podcast, CEO and co-founder of a business, wearing many, many hats inside of that business right now because it's just two people doing Ironman triathlon and trying to market myself, doing all of these types of things, trying to be a better father, trying to increase my relationships, dating a new girl, all of these types of things, they take a lot of time. And I started freaking out, y'all. I started really freaking out. I was like, how am I going to do all of this stuff? Oh, the schedule gave me a chance to breathe. If you are looking for a chance to breathe, if you are looking for more space in your life, if you are looking for more time in your life, then don't fear. You don't have to search anymore. All you have to do is organize. Just organize, and that's going to help you to see things how they are, and you're going to start to see how much potential that you truly have. It's the same thing if you start to look at your other relationships and you start to organize them, you're going to see how much you can actually grow. If you organize your fitness, y'all, if you organize organize your fitness, all of a sudden going to the gym is not so scary because you know what you're going to do. Right? You know what you're going to do. You know how much time you're going to be there. And it doesn't take long to really get a good feel for that. All right? It doesn't take long to really enjoy that. And y'all, if you really start to enjoy the gym, think about that. If you hate your work right now and you want to add more joy and peace to it, then add a fucking schedule, add a fucking calendar, get yourself organized. And I guarantee, I can almost guarantee you're going to love it. And there are people out there who might just say, I'm just not organized. You know, that's to me, that's like saying I'm not a morning person. I always want to slap somebody who says that because you know what? You are a morning person. You rise with the sun like every other person with chemicals and blood in your body. You're conditioned to be a night person and you're conditioned to be an unorganized person. And not only that, you're conditioned to tell yourself that you are less than. So start telling yourself you're more than. Tell yourself that you can be an organized person. Tell yourself that you can have peace, that you can have serenity in this time-filled, outrageously demanding life, and that you can do all the fucking things that you want to do in this life. God bless you all, and may these seeds of change come into your life and plant beautiful fields ready for harvest in the next few months. This has been such a joy, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. My name's Mark Turnipseed. Over and out at Seeds of Change Podcast. Oh, and by the way, in case you didn't know, I am also offering now daily seeds from the website, markaturnipseed.com. So if you want daily seeds in your email, it's a simple $2 a month, and I will send you daily seeds into your email every single day. And it's going to be a lot of fun, man, because here's what happens. After those daily seeds are distributed every single day, I'm going to also publish a book once a year that's going to be all those daily seeds. And you, if you're signed up for it, you get special prices. And you get special pre-order options. So come on, hop onto the Daily Seeds program. Support, if you can, support a little bit extra for the Seeds of Change podcast. If you like what I'm talking about, hop on over to the Patreon website where you're able to support the Seeds of Change podcast. So far, we don't have any supporters. So the first supporter who hops on to my Seeds of Change podcast and applies for a monthly donation, I am going to send you, based on my sponsor, I'm going to send you a whole package of Halo 42 skincare. Guys, that is a $300 amount, well, actually $360 amount of product that you're going to have that's going to help you have bright, beautiful, glowing skin for the next few months. And it's going to be able to benefit me greatly and this podcast greatly as we begin to reach out to more and more lives, helping them to build productivity, change, and love in their life and community. So y'all, thank you so much. Again, my name's Mark A. Turnipseed, and I am so happy to be here. I am so happy to be alive.